Welcome to Deep Thought. Negative change agents. And I've talked about change agents before, but just mostly in a positive manner. Change agents are simply individuals who, by their very presence and by the actions that they take in life, actually causes a change. Because ultimately in the world, it's about the people. I mean, we can talk about the technology and everything, and everybody say, well, yeah, everybody got the smartphones. It's important, but who invented it? It was a person. We can talk about the metaverse and everything, but ultimately, who created it? People. You know, we can talk all these different movements, actions, and everything revolve around people because the actions of one can affect the lives of millions. Some are obvious, some are not obvious. Some, it might, you know what? It could be a change agent. It could simply be that one teacher in a poor, underprivileged neighborhood at the school. But that teacher is so inspirational to their students that the students who come out of that poor place go to become lawyers, doctors, accountants, positive politicians, ministers, and everything. That's an agent of change right there because they're changing the path that people might have taken. And, of course, we have the more famous people, the celebrities. We have some politicians, spiritual leaders who may create some type of movement, who do something positive. But one thing in the world, in the universe, and this is regardless of what your spiritual path is, for every good thing, there's something negative. For every action, there's a positive and equal reaction. So for every positive change agent, there are negative change agents. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way of things. And when I say negative, because ultimately everything good and evil is a matter of perspective, but I will define a negative agent as someone who's causing a great amount of people to go in a bad direction. They're not spiraling up, they're spiraling down. And it's unfortunate, but they exist. People like, I'll give you a great example. Like cult leaders. And I don't mean cults where they, the people might be more happy or something, because sometimes they'll call something a cult. And it's just because it's going against the mainstream. But I'm talking about a cult where, the leader of it is abusing people sexually, taking advantage of them, and basically taking them in a negative direction. And that's a very obvious one. But I'm going to tell you what, sometimes it could be someone on social media spewing out a bunch of stuff. Like you have plenty who are putting out stuff who are going against creating positive relationships. And those are men and women because of their experiences. And when they get a following, it starts affecting people. It starts changing people in their attitudes and everything. It's not taking people in a positive direction. And it ultimately affects their lives. Because imagine, like just seriously on YouTube. What if you had somebody just spewing hate against another race or against another gender or promoting activities that can actually hurt somebody's spirit. Like it actually hurt their own people following them. That creates a big problem because remember, every one person affected by that negative change agent, they're affecting several other people. I'll give you an example. And this is regardless of what the negative change agent is talking about. I'll use the YouTube example again. All right, say they only have 10,000 subs. 10,000 subs, and out of that, maybe, 2,000 or 3,000 regularly look at their videos, but they constantly spewing negative energy. Those saying that one person, just the one person who's taking in that energy, who's emulating that energy, following the negative change agent, they in turn is going to affect all the people around them. Y'all see how it work? So it could be 1,000 people taking, just 1,000, but those 1,000, each one will affect 5 people that they regularly encounter. And then that spreads. See how that happens? It's just that one little thing, and it spreads. That one broadcast spreads. And that's what you have out here. For every positive one, there's somebody spreading something negative. And ultimately, like I said, good and evil is relative. Ultimately, the best that can happen is it gets to a place of balance. Because, we talk about night and day. It doesn't stay daylight forever, and it doesn't stay night forever. And it's part of the thing, everything in life. And it's a pattern in life. In my last episode, I talked about patterns. It's a pattern. But I was just talking about this just to say they exist. They exist. And what I would suggest to people is always ask themselves the information that they're hearing from someone or the person they're being around. Or is it taking them in a positive direction or a negative direction? I'll use myself as an example. I'm always talking about people. I'm well known for talking about body game, hitting the gym, all of that. And, particularly for the men, and men gets women. But I've said constantly on there, don't just take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Try it, see if it works for you, And I've said that, and I don't, you know what, and that's one thing I'm saying. I'm not saying this to brag, but I've yet to have someone come back to me and say they've applied the information, any information I've shared, and it just simply didn't work for them. Like they've applied it. I've yet to have that, Because I'll ask them, and I've had a couple people say, well, that don't work. Well, did you try it? And they'll be like, no. Well, okay, come back when you try it. I'm still waiting for it. I'm actually surprised something because everybody's different ultimately. And I would say that to people who give advice or something. Everybody's not going to feel it. And that's cool. But my biggest concern is I don't want to put out information that's harmful to a great many people. Because if I thought I would change it. But, but like I said, people have to ask themselves a question. And I would say look at that for anybody, any influencer, anybody you're around, any minister, any politician. Ask yourself, is this really helpful? Is this really helpful? Because sometimes people just follow and everything and they don't question and then they get messed up in the long run. That's the key thing. So I want y'all to really think about that. And just to be clear, I really mean it. Anything I'm saying, test it out first and ask yourself if this is helpful. If it's not helpful, look, don't follow it. I'm just going to say what I'm saying, not just everybody else. It's easy for me to point to everybody else. I'm saying if anything I'm saying is taking you in a negative direction, please don't. And please don't have a problem coming back in a respectful way. Hit me up privately and say, well, Rom, this, and this, because then maybe I need to change something up. But in general, always pay attention because there's plenty of negative change agents out there. Plenty of them. And you don't want to go in a negative direction. But they're going to exist anyway, and somebody's going to, follow along. But I want y'all to be honest with that, all right? So, anyway, that's all I have. Get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.